Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat about old versus new, about update versus releasing something that is completely 100% fresh. Because we've got the preview tomorrow, Decadence and Decay, and while immediately my gut instinct was to cry out, like, just cry out, for Emperor's Children and for that codex and for new models and funky cool stuff like that, I know reasonably that's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be mortal followers of Slaanesh, which I'm also good with because I want mortal followers of Slaanesh, because why would you not want that? But I have seen some interesting wishlisting going on, most of it completely inaccurate and will absolutely not happen. Things like, oh, well, could this be a reference to Dark Mechanicus? No, probably not. Just going to throw that out there right now. But it did make me think, because what's your preferred thing? Seeing something brand new that we've never seen before, seeing, say, like the return, I say never seen before, like a massive fresh update for squats, for instance. Would you like to see, like, the Demiurge show up as a playable force, a full army, bunch of units, Sisters of Battle style, here's a new range completely? Would you like to see that? Or would you prefer to see something like Dark Mechanicus show up, an entirely new range of stuff that has never had a presence on the tabletop before? Or would you happily pass on those two for things like the Dark Eldar Aspect Warriors to be finally updated in the year of our Lord, 2020? Actually, it's not going to happen in 2020. We're at the tail end of 2020. It will be the tail end of our Lord, 2021, is the example, and not the tail end of our Lord. We're just going to pretend that didn't happen. I might edit that out. What would you prefer? Would you prefer to see something that is, like, fresh and new and brings something that is different to the tabletop, something we haven't really seen before, or something that has been out of the game for some considerable time, an entire army of Zotes, for instance? Or would you prefer to see Games Workshop go back and actually refresh the parts of their catalogue that are severely lagging behind and just don't look that great anymore? I mean, I use Eldar as the example, but of course there are other examples. There's ranges that have not seen an update since like 2008. I'm looking at you, Astra Militarum specifically. I believe it was Astra Militarum. I did a video on, like, it was the Neglect Olympics. I will put a link to that in the description. And yeah, there's a few ranges that have had approximately naff all for some considerable time, and there are other ranges that simply have ancient models sitting alongside ones that are actually pretty new. Funnily enough, Space Marines does actually fit in that category, but I kind of ignore them because, well, look at the sheer amount of stuff they've got recently. I have to admit, part of this question is also prompted by the sheer number of comments I get every time we see a new Primaris reveal, which essentially revolve around, oh good, another flavour of power armour for the Space Marines, meanwhile I have to buy this unit that was first released in 1999. Brilliant, thank you Games Workshop. At this point, I feel like something has to be done about those old things, but the question is not necessarily about pragmatism, but about preference. So when it comes to that, would you rather see Games Workshop say, okay, it is time for Eldar to get their refresh? Aspect Warriors, all updated, all released in practice? In plastic. Aspect Warriors, all released in plastic. We've got rid of all the resin. It's all gone. The update is finished. It's complete. You now have a totally up-to-date force. Even things like the Guardians being updated, so they're not like an ancient troops choice. Things like that. Would you prefer that, or would you actually get more satisfaction and enjoyment out of seeing Games Workshop tackle something totally new? Even if it's something that is kind of similar to what we already have, say in the form of Traitor Guard and Dark Mechanicus. For me, it's a weird mix, because on the one hand, I look at things like the Orc side of 40k, and I see things like the Death Copter, which makes my blood boil and makes me irrationally angry because I hate that model with a passion. And I think to myself, how the hell can you still sell that? It's terrible and old and doesn't work with the rest of the range at all. It doesn't fit, even slightly, with the newer Orc aesthetic. It makes absolutely no sense for there to be this weird steampunk contraption next to an actual... Of all of the aircraft in 40k, the Orc ones look the most capable of flight half the time. So how can you have this nonsense next to this thing that looks like it would work? How do you have the jump jet dragster or whatever next to this, like, Age of Sigmar-esque bollocks right here. It doesn't make any sense, and I would love to see that replaced. I'd love to see new boys come out. I'd like to see just the Orc range get a proper, full update. Not just vehicles, infantry as well. We've got tons of vehicles, let's see more infantry. On the other hand, I look at things like the Dark Mechanicus and the Traitor Guard, and they are massive parts of the 40k universe. They make up a significant chunk of Chaos's forces, and they have no representation on the tabletop whatsoever. Yeah, you can convert your stuff to look all Dark Mechanicus-y, and you could just play normal Mechanicus Codex, but using, models for Dark Mechanicus that you've done yourself, that's fine. You can play Traitor Guard if you want, but there's no actual rules for that. Yeah, we do have Renegades and Heretics, or sort of do have Legends. You get what I mean. That's kind of a retired range at this point. You can't get any of that stuff, so it's not really a thing as such anymore, and yet Traitor Guard are again a pretty significant part of the setting. It's not like only Chaos Space Marines show up for Chaos. It's not like only Marines go bad. There are mortal followers of every god. There are entire Imperial Guard legions that have gone, nope, I'm with them now. Regiments, not legions. Wrong word. And yet, where is it? Where's the tabletop? Where's the tabletop representation of that? Doesn't exist. I mean, hell, the Imperial Guard themselves, the last release 2008. It's getting on for a while since they last got something. 2012, 2008. Either way, it's been a while. I would love to see that stuff represented on the tabletop, and I think that would probably excite me more than seeing old stuff being refreshed. But it feels like old stuff needs to be refreshed far more as a matter of urgency. I mean, I know I made the joke of our, the year of our Lord 2020, but it is kind of bad when you look at certain aspects of the Games Workshop catalogue and you see some stuff that is going back and is older than some of the people who watch this channel being sold alongside stuff that was released this year. There's too much of a disparity there. Things like the designs don't quite match up. The overall sculpting and casting and just quality as a whole has skyrocketed in recent years especially. It's been steadily getting better, yeah, but you look at some of the stuff that's coming out now and frankly the older models just don't even hold a candle to them detail-wise at the very least. And I know when I say that there are those who love the retro stuff, who prefer the older look, the older style of Games Workshop miniatures, and I'm not knocking anyone for that, it's personal preference. But when it comes to a consumer point of view, it feels super weird when you look at some ranges and you see stuff that clearly has been outpaced and is massively outdated, still being sold as a current product. And that's where it starts to get a bit janky and feel a bit off. The question, I guess, is which would you prefer? Would you like to see existing ranges updated first, or would you like to see new stuff introduced? Would you like that kind of brand new, fresh experience of a faction that we've just not had on the tabletop before, or just didn't really have to begin with, things like Imperial Knights, for instance? Or would you rather see Games Workshop take each of the Xenos factions particularly, and just do a massive sweeping upgrade, Necron style, introducing new stuff all across the board, replacing old models that need to be replaced, taking away the things that are still in resin, and making them all 100% plastic and 100% up to date? Which would you prefer out of those? I would honestly love to know. Now, before I let you leave, as if you aren't, as if you don't have the capability to just turn the video off, I want to talk to you about SN Battle Reports, because they are the recipients of this week's shout out, and also next week's as well, because they didn't start until partway through the week. Anyway, SN Battle Reports are great. Great setup, great production quality, great armies, really knowledgeable about 40k. Everything about their battle reports is super well produced. They clearly have a blast doing it. There is a tremendous amount of passion on show when they play the game. They keep it light, they keep it light-hearted, but they still know what they're doing. Some of the best battle reports on YouTube can be found at SN Battle Reports, so I suggest you go and check them out. They are totally worth your time. Now, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about the particular issue of new versus refresh. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And if you would like to use it, there is an affiliate link in the description for Element Games which supports the channel. It's entirely up to you. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.